Welcome to Patterned, the astrology podcast where we discuss real life, real astrology. My name is Juliet Topaz, and I'm the astrologer at Look Up the Stars Astrology. And today we have Brittany Teller with us. Hi, Brittany.
Yay. Thank you so much for having me, Julia. I am just so excited to be here and talk with you about astrology. I'm also an astrologer and a spiritual coach and healer, and I specialize in soul purpose and synastry astrology, which we're going to talk about today. And I'm so
Yay!
excited because, yeah, me and you, we go way back. I don't know if we'll tell that story one day, but we've been friends for a long time, and you are like, the one astrologer that I really recommend to people a lot because you just really know your stuff and you do really make it practical and helpful in the day-to-day sense. And I respect you so much. So I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much, Brittany. And I think it is your bread and butter. You really love that. I think you've
I
done
do.
a lot of videos on this too, right?
Yes, lots on my YouTube, like over 1,000 videos. I do have some natal chart stuff and some of my spiritual stuff, but the majority is all synastry videos over there on YouTube. I do love it.
Nice, nice. So today, we'll talk about this today, but I think there's a lot of sometimes misconceptions when it comes to what a good synastry is and like what isn't.
Yeah, we got
Yeah,
to set them straight.
yeah. So why don't you share with us today what is your process when it comes to tree reading? What is the thing that is the most important to you and what do you look at first?
I think I have a pretty intuitive approach, but I do like to first look at the two natal charts separately and just assess basic compatibility. Is there elemental compatibility? If someone has a dominance of one element and the other person does not share that or doesn't have the compatible element, looking at little things like that. And then looking at the bi-wheels, studying like what if there's strong conjunctions going on or what kind of aspects are being made, how they are activating in each other's houses each way, and assessing does one person feel it more than the other person and things like that. And then, yeah, just going through all the aspects. And then, of course, finally, I always check the composite chart as well to see what is the ultimate end result of the blending of energies here.
Yeah, I think I have a very similar process to yours. The thing you said that I resonated the most with is looking at the birth chart separately. I have been surprised throughout the years. Some people who, when you look at the synastry charts, they don't necessarily have an obvious compatibility. For example, I know a couple, the guy has a stellium in Aquarius, and then she has a stellium in Virgo. So intuitively, you're like, oh,
That's weird.
because obviously regular compatibility tells you Aquarius is not so keen on Virgo and vice versa. But then when you look at both of their charts separately, she's a moon Mars in Virgo and he's a moon Mars in Aquarius. So first of all, that makes sense because she's super fiery and really active and needs a lot of stimulation, right? Moon Mars. And then he too. So it was interesting to me to realize that, oh, okay, they have this pattern in common. And then when I see them like operating in life, sure, Aquarius, he's obsessed with freedom. And so he's super work oriented and spends a lot of time like building his freedom. And then she's very domestic, Virgo energy.
Yeah, exactly. Although I do feel, and I was just thinking about this when you were talking, of the signs, Aquarius and Virgo are quite different, but they're both predominantly a mental energy, a lot of activity in the mind. They're big thinkers. So I could see how, even though they're different, they could still understand each other a bit.
Yeah, yeah. And there's also some other stuff, obviously. Namely, they both have Libra energy. So that makes sense. And also, they have a lot of North Node activations,
Oh, okay.
which I gotta say, I am curious what is your opinion on North Node activations? Because for me personally, like for me, it hasn't worked out.
Yeah, I was wondering if we were going to talk about this because I know how you feel about the North Node, specifically in transits. You're like, it doesn't do anything, and I've agreed with you about transits.
Yeah.
But as far as synastry and relationships, it does seem to be quite a big thing. Also very common in these relationships that feel just so otherworldly, like that this is a soul union. And so I always talk about the nodes a lot, the North Node and the South Node. And they're usually quite common in relationships where one person or both people cannot let it go because it just feels such a life-changing or fated event.
Yeah. In the case of this couple, like it definitely carries this energy, like the faded aspects,
Yeah.
except that for them it worked. For me personally, conjunctions to my North Node never really seem to stick. And my Venus is very often conjunct someone's South Node.
Yeah, from your past boyfriend, I remember that conjunction, and I was
Yeah.
like, ding ding, this is
Yeah.
karmic. So the South Node is definitely quite a different energy than the North Node, although they both carry that same kind of faded feeling. This is really something. But the South Node is much more comfortable. I feel like it's quite natural when we have someone's planet conjunct our South Node. So when someone has a planet there conjunct our South Node, it's hello, long last old friend. Like it's very easy to get along with them, but over time we might feel like in some cases they can hold us back if they're not also aspecting our north node in some way, because the north node I feel is much more of a future point and showing our destiny for this lifetime and energy that we might not want to embrace but we do in order to find true soul fulfillment. So the north node to me is a little bit more uncomfortable. It's like getting out of the comfort zone. If someone's planet's there, it's a little bit, oh, maybe this is scary and intense, but there can still be a lot of attraction on either side, either because of that comfort or that feeling of, oh, I've known you before, maybe in a past life, South Node, versus, oh, this feels like someone who is helping pull me forward to what is maybe a little intimidating for me, but I must do it in order to grow.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. The only times in my life I had the feeling that I had known someone before, it happened twice. Once it was romantic and once it wasn't. The romantic connection, he had his Venus on my North Node.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, and I definitely, it was weird. Like it was really, it's hard to explain unless you've experienced it yourself. It's really strange to convey. And then this other time, I had the same thing. I feel like I know you, and his North Node is on my Sun.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It never was romantic though, but it was really strange. And my position on North Node, I'm a bit shy to embrace the concept of past lives. I'm not opposed to it. I'm open-minded, but I'm not like sold on the concept. So even when I talk to my clients about the North Node and the South Node, I'm like, okay, you can consider it as past lives, or you can consider it as maybe ancestral DNA or memories. I don't know what it is. I don't like when I can't touch it, but I've
Yeah,
definitely had the feeling. So whatever it
totally.
is, it's felt.
Yeah, definitely. And I do agree with you that it's even a bit hard to describe how it feels to have someone with a planet conjunct your North Node or it's almost beyond words.
Yeah. But I will say, when I look back on my relationships, I wouldn't say that the person who had the most impact on me was like people who had their planets on my North Node. In fact, if I had to choose the person who had the most lasting impact on me, it was someone who had their Saturn opposite my Venus.
Okay.
Yeah, which I've never had this specific aspect before or after, but I most definitely had the feeling that he was whipping me into shape, like constantly,
Yeah, that'll do it. That Saturn dad.
right? And because my Venus is in Virgo, It was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, yes, an assignment? Great, sure. Let me do this better. Let me improve this. Let me improve that. And it stayed with me. Like this relationship has been over for already 4 years, but it stayed with me.
Yes, and I think too, with your Venus being in the eighth house, it's
Yeah.
like even a little bit more of an intense flavor of that Saturn opposing Venus because it's hitting you in that very deep private area of the eighth house and all these feelings that are there.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I don't want to be around you because I just don't like the way it's constant. Yet the things he said actually served me throughout the years. I would love to hear your thoughts on Saturn and Synastry because I feel like there's always the same message about it when you read about Saturn online. It's, oh, it's the glue of the relationship. Or, oh, it's the malefic of Synastry and Saturn contact are terrible. So,
Yeah.
what is your opinion on Saturn?
I do think it is a form of a glue, but I also don't think, let's just say basically we don't have other compatibility like with moons or Venus, or we don't have some strong theme of compatibility otherwise. I don't think you could just throw some Saturn conjunctions in there and then all of a sudden it's glue. But I do think in basically healthy relationships that Saturn energy will make you want to work on it versus where you don't have Saturn contacts. If, the first thing goes wrong, you're just like, screw this, I'm out of here. If you have more Uranus aspects rather than Saturn, right? But
Yeah.
the Saturn, it makes you want to work on it. It also gives you that feeling of like you were talking about, like seriousness. Oh, this is helping me. Even though sometimes the Saturn person can feel a bit harsh on you, you do get the sense that you're growing. And I think that Saturn is so significant, thinking of the Saturn return and everything like that, people want to experience that growth. I think most people like that kind of energy because we want to feel like we have some sort of stability in our relationship, or we want to feel like this is something that's not going anywhere. People love that idea of forever. And Saturn is very much thinking about even the rings of Saturn, like it's all very Saturnian, marriage and like the seriousness of commitment, right?
Yeah.
So I really like it, but do I think it can overpower other basic incompatibilities? No, definitely not. But it does seem to be quite significant in long-term relationships. And it's funny when you were talking about Saturn opposing Venus and how that was so significant for you. In my current relationship, I have his Saturn is square my Venus, and it's trine my sun, though. So it's
Okay.
like, on the one hand, my Venus in Aries feels him as quite serious, or even maybe a little bit of a party pooper, oh, you're no fun kind of thing at times, right? And he doesn't quite always understand my impulsiveness or my passion, right? He's working or he's focused on other more serious Saturnian things. But then on the other side, my sun in Taurus, his Saturn's in Capricorn. So my sun is, oh, I like this, and this is actually helping me further my goals in my life. And I've
Yeah.
actually improved like in my business since I've known him. I've improved in my physical body and like working out and strength. Like a
Yeah.
lot of things have improved in my life, even if my Venus is like feeling he's maybe not the most fun. He's like the old Saturn, even though he's not that much older than me.
But I've noticed something about Saturn and Synastry. You can tell me if you've seen the same thing, but in my clients, I've often seen the women's Saturn in hard aspects to the man's Mars.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been very like a repeating theme. And then I thought about it and I was like, how come? And then I thought, okay, maybe Saturn inspires the commitment of Mars.
I thought about it in a more negative sense when you said that. I thought of a lot of relationships are like female dominated, and I thought of the woman acting like the boss over his Mars. No, not like that. Or no, I'm not in the mood tonight. No.
Maybe.
Off the top of my head that I've seen it, I've seen that aspect, but I don't
Yeah.
know if it's common enough for me to say that it's a
Yeah.
theme that I've always seen. I've seen it sometimes.
Do you do married couples or?
Yeah, I do. I often do people that are married, or I guess a lot of people aren't actually officially married these days. They're long-term
Yeah.
couples. I do a lot of new-ish relationships, and then I do a lot of affairs and people that are picking between two different people. Now that's quite
Oh, makes
a fun
sense.
session to
Yeah.
do and stuff like that. Or sometimes I do sessions with people who they haven't actually had a relationship with that person and they want to know what's going on. Why do I feel this?
It's so interesting because like most of the synastry readings that I do are either married couples
Okay.
who've been together for many years and want to understand what are the things they can improve and etc. Or it's usually people who have been together for a long time and are wanting to break up
Oh yeah, I've had
and
that.
yeah, and want to know if this is like salvageable.
Yeah,
Um,
I love when I feel like I can help them stay together. Like
yeah,
that makes me feel really good when it's
yeah.
that situation where I feel like I fix them. I'm like, yes, I love it.
Okay, what is your favorite aspect in synastry?
Ooh, that's such a good question. Oh, there's so many, and I love so many of them. Let me think about that for a second. I would probably say, and I'm just thinking of like the relationship I'm in right now, but I like a Sun Venus aspect. I like even any of the aspects, actually, even the square, even the opposition, even the trine, the sextile, the conjunction, of course. I really, the way that we make each other shine when there's a Sun Venus aspect, and it does feel like it's, especially if you're not born with, say, the Sun Venus conjunction. It really brings a bright, kind of loving, but also ego enhancing energy to the relationship where both people
Yeah,
feel quite good about each other. I feel like it's just classic. There's so many more, but I'm just thinking about, so like my relationship now, I have the trine, and I had that also with my late husband as well, the trine, and then I also had the square with my late husband, so it was like a
yeah,
double whammy. But yeah, I just think it's really nice. And I think some of these nice aspects that maybe aren't like totally wild, rip each other's clothes off, but they're just like really nice. These can really show like longevity and like ability to actually cooperate and get along with each other in the long term.
yeah. I would agree with that.
What's your favorite?
I think I have a few favorites. I really like Jupiter Sun, Jupiter Venus. Those relationships just bring the inspired, positive outlook where I'm like, oh my God, life is so much bigger and we can do so much. And I really love Jupiter aspects in general.
Jupiter is the best. And I just thought of your Sagittarius ascendant too, being
Yeah,
ruled by Jupiter, and you chose Jupiter. And then I thought of myself, I wasn't thinking this when I said it, but having a Taurus sun, and I
yeah,
picked Sun Venus. It's
yeah.
very classic for our placements.
Also, isn't your seventh house in Libra?
It is, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
And then I really like Moon Venus. I find it really sweet and affectionate. And then Venus Neptune is like very like romantic.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I need that with all my Neptune, but
A lot of people with those aspects I have to bring back down to earth when the relationship is really not real.
the only time I've had a synastry reading where I can see that the person is caught in an illusion that isn't the relationship at all, they have Mars, Neptune in hard contact, specifically the
Oh, yeah.
conjunction. And it's just, how can I bring this person back to reality?
Yeah, the sexual idealization is so strong with those aspects, and also women with a Mars Neptune square, or
Yeah.
even twin issues in picking the right partner and seeing men clearly.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's funny that you would say that because I actually did a chart today. It wasn't a
Okay.
synastry reading, but she was asking about her love life. And so I do her chart and she's asking, when am I going to meet someone? And so I see that in her chart, she has Mars square Neptune. So I start by explaining to her, hey, okay, before we talk about when are you going to meet someone, we need to talk about how to pick the right one. And
Yeah.
then I realize that in transit, she has Neptune opposite Mars.
Oh, wow.
So I'm
Okay.
like, okay, you're gonna meet someone for sure, but there's a chance that it's not the right person. So how do we address this before the window opens?
Oh my,
Yeah,
and that's the hardest thing sometimes is talking to people that are highly Neptunian, or the synastry is highly Neptunian, and
yeah,
trying to ground them back into reality. I do think some people get caught up, especially astrology when it's they're grasping at straws. We've got Sun conjunct Venus, but every planet is squaring Neptune and
Yeah.
opposing Pluto, and it's okay, we got to talk about these difficult things. I do hate that about astrology. People can get very obsessive and wanting to make their delusions true. You must look at all of it very clearly.
Yeah. Like when I do synastry readings, I actually spend, I want to say at least half of the session just on the birth charts. Because I have this saying, I'm like, oh, you could be perfectly compatible with an abuser, a psychopath, or a serial killer. Even if you were perfectly compatible, would you want to be with this person? And
Yeah.
then it brings me back to my own experiences. For example, with my most recent ex, and that you know of, our compatibility was pretty good. But then at the end of the day, if he's choosing to behave in ways that are not healthy, I can't really do anything about it. And then it goes back to this guy in particular. I remember the first time I saw his chart and I saw he has Venus and Sun opposite Pluto.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, Pluto aspects are like dark. So I was really hoping that it would play in a different way, but then seeing how he acted in ways that were really betrayal, essentially, at some point it doesn't matter if you're compatible. So I always spend so much time being okay, like what are your patterns as a person and can I deal with it?
Lesson learned. And I also feel like you've had ones with Mars squaring Pluto too and things like that.
Yeah, I had my series of Mars Pluto men.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, they are sexy.
Oh
Just,
yeah, they are very
they're
sexy and
just,
dangerous.
yeah, dangerous.
Just run, just run. But
But
then it's also like, how is it manifesting? You do want to give people, or at least I like to see how they're utilizing that energy because, and I think
yeah,
we talked about this too. This is something I love that we talk about often is like people with a trine between Mars and Pluto could also behave in a very
it's
toxic way. So,
yeah,
and people with the square could be actually at a certain place of like soul evolvement over
yeah,
it. Like you have to really observe them for a while to
yeah,
see how is this manifesting?
yeah. It brings me to 2 points actually, because you're making very good points. First, like I wanted to circle back on you said at some point I kept on dating men with Pluto Mars.
Yes, that's what I
But
thought you were going to say when
yeah,
you said
but
that. Yeah.
I was having Pluto square Mars in transit.
Oh,
And
yes.
then the
Okay.
last guy with his Pluto Venus opposition,
Okay.
I was having by transit Pluto in conjunct Venus.
Oh, yes.
So I feel, and I've noticed that in myself like so many times, like I will date people who have in their birth chart the transit that I'm experiencing. As if
Oh
I'm
my
like,
goodness. This is life changing for me. I just thought of, do you remember when I dated the Uranus Venus guy and I had Uranus conjunct Venus?
yeah, of course. So I feel like it is my way of reclaiming a little bit of the responsibility because I'm like, okay, chose him to experience this transit fully.
Yes,
And
you
I'm
were
like,
under the influence of the transit. It's like a drug that you took. You were
and
under the influence.
and then when I had Pluto square moon, that's when I dated a Scorpio moon,
Oh,
two
yeah.
Scorpio moon back to back.
This makes so much sense. Yes.
Never touched it
Okay.
after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never touched it again.
I do want to get your opinion on something.
Yep.
So one of the most asked questions, like in the synastry realm, is,
Okay.
oh, who feels what? If you go on, I think like one of my
I know.
favorite forum to go on is like Linda Goodman. One of the most asked question is, oh, my Venus is an aspect to his Pluto. So who is more obsessed?
I love this question so much, and I get
Yeah,
asked all the time too.
yeah,
I honestly
yeah.
think both people. I do feel like with the outer planet synastry, though, that the outer planet person does wield the power over the relationship. That's how I've found it. They are like in control of the other person. But I think the feelings of passion and obsession are coming from both sides. And then sometimes, especially in the case of the opposition, I find that it can switch. It starts out maybe, let's say Venus, Pluto. Maybe Venus is obsessed with Pluto, and then Venus moves on because Pluto is an asshole, and then Pluto is obsessed with Venus.
Yeah. I think for me, what I've noticed, because I've dated several people whose personal planets were aspecting my Pluto, And the recurring theme, not so much obsession. I don't know who was more obsessed with who. I feel like it was pretty mutual. But the thing that I did notice was that it seemed like I was either actively exposing their
Ooh,
shadows, and even when I wasn't, they felt like I was intruding or exposing something. So, like, in that sense, I felt, okay, clearly I'm the one holding the power in the
yeah,
sense that I intrude in ways that they feel exposed. Whether
that
or not I'm actively exposing anything, it's what they feel.
the planet person can feel very vulnerable if it's
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Versus the opposite was not true at all for me. Like, I
Okay.
wasn't feeling exposed. I wasn't
Okay.
like, yeah. So, and it's been a few guys because I've had Scorpio placements conjunct my Pluto, and then I've had Taurus placements opposite my Pluto, and I've had Leo placements square my Pluto. And every time it's the same pattern.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they feel exposed.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I wonder too if it manifests differently. I know you have Pluto in your 11th house.
Mm.
So I wonder if that manifests differently. Like in my case, it's my Pluto's in my 8th house.
Yeah.
Like I wonder if depending on where your Pluto is, the sign that it's in, feel that energy differently too.
For sure, because the 11th house is such an impersonal house. This is for you, it's if someone's planet was conjunct your Pluto, I would
It's very deep.
necessarily feel a lot more intimate.
Yeah, exactly. Very emotional, very intense, but I do still feel when it's my Pluto that yeah, they feel my power, they feel my intensity, and I can kind
Yeah.
of decide with what I will do with them.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. I don't know why people love Pluto and Synastry so much. I
Yeah.
don't really have a good opinion of it.
Maybe Pluto in your 11th house, it's a little bit different. It's more to do with friends and groups and things like that, where you feel that Plutonic energy running through you versus, yeah, depending on which house Pluto is in someone's natal chart, is where it's
Yeah.
forcing them to deal with this issue, these fears, and everything being brought up, right?
Yeah. But according to what I've seen, I felt like Pluto in Synastry seems to, sure, bring like obsession and like bonding, but also I feel like there's always an underlying distrust.
Yeah.
Did you experience that too?
I think with the hard aspects,
Yeah.
yes. But with the trines and sextiles, I think there can be like a deep emotional intimacy. And sometimes what I've found is you could have a Pluto square or opposition in the synastry, and then in the composite chart, that same planet is trine to Pluto or something. And then I find in that case, the couple is able to have that trust and intimacy versus if it was square in this industry and square in the
Yeah.
composite chart. Have you seen things like that play out?
I haven't, no, I haven't seen differences between trine and synastry. Actually, I don't know, because I think if I saw a square of Pluto in synastry, even if it was trine in the composite, I wouldn't disregard what I've seen in the synastry. So it might have happened, but I didn't note it. However, I have seen synastry where there is no Pluto contact, but there are some really nasty ones in the composite.
Yeah, totally. That's a red flag.
Yeah. I've done Pluto conjunct Moon and Pluto square Mars, and it ended up with the police. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely Pluto in composite. Just the square is too much.
It is. It really is. It's hard to work around it, even in the most beautiful composites.
Yeah.
But I do feel like some people can handle it or actually prefer it.
Yeah.
Scorpio types and Pluto types or Pluto moons, they kind of thrive in that.
Love when it's hard.
Yeah, they love it. Yeah.
Yeah. I know this guy, he has Venus, Moon, Pluto in Scorpio. And every time he tells me his love stories, I'm like, why do you like it so complex? It's always, it always starts like hard.
Yeah. Why do you like to suffer? They're
Yeah.
here,
They
learn. They don't know any other way. It's not, especially if it's Moon Pluto or Scorpio Moon, like they don't know any different. This is all they've felt.
Yeah. So, Brittany, I am curious about something. I really like tracking transits to the composite.
Mhm.
Is this something you've worked with?
Yes, and it may have been you yourself that taught me this. And now it is like life-changing for me because always when a relationship begins or something significant happens or it ends, there's always usually like a conjunction even to something in the composite chart or in an opposition or even a square. But I feel like most commonly I've even seen it be like a conjunction when some major event is happening in the relationship.
Surprisingly, I've noticed that squares don't seem to, except squares of Uranus, actually.
Okay.
But squares don't seem to end a relationship, in my perspective. Sorry, just clarifying for people who are listening to us. We're talking about the composite chart, and we're talking about tracking transits to the composite chart. And so my understanding of it is that square transits to the composite definitely represent a period of struggle. But again, with that energy of the square, there's almost like a desire to resolve it.
Yeah.
Except for, yeah, like squares of Uranus, I have definitely seen them end relationships. But I was surprised often to see the end of a relationship be marked by a transit by trine,
Really?
which makes a
Okay.
lot of sense when you think about it because it's like easy, right? It's
Yeah.
just like
We're not going to do the work,
there's no more struggle to it. It's just
just letting it go.
yeah, and it's not 100% of the cases, but I was fairly surprised to notice that, oh wow, they survived the Pluto square Mars or a Pluto square Sun. And then you see
Yeah.
like a Saturn trine Venus, and you're like, oh, that's what wrapped it up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I've just found it to be so accurate. I've even gone back like in previous relationships and looked at when we got together, when we broke
Yeah.
up, and it's just like always there. So that's definitely something that everybody should check out because it's almost spooky in a way.
Yeah. I do like to check the first time I go on a date with someone that like I end up being in a relationship with. And
Yeah.
there's always some like really cute activations. Like
I love
often
that.
it's a Mars Venus thing. There's often like
Okay.
transiting Mars on Venus or
Yeah.
I don't know, it's really cute. It does make you like wonder like that everything is just so timed.
Yes, everything is like
Yeah.
perfectly synchronistic and timed. And
Yeah.
so with my like relationship with my late husband, which and my current boyfriend Josh, they're born within a couple days of each other. And so our composite charts, at least the sun, is like a similar position. It's around 5 degrees of Cancer or something like that.
Yeah.
And then in both cases, there's also a Cancer stellium, like other planets there as well.
Yeah.
And when I went on the first date with my late husband, it was during Cancer season when that
Yeah.
was conjunct that. And then when I got together with, it wasn't our first date, but when we like first officially fell in love, it was the sun in Capricorn was opposing
Yeah.
all of the Cancer of the composite. And so it's interesting. It's a very similar theme with both relationships and this Cancer energy in the composite. But then our first date or first get together was both highly aspected by the chart.
Yeah. I love that.
I know, isn't it cute?
Yeah. So cute. Okay, I hope for everyone listening, you really enjoyed this episode as much as Brittany and I loved doing it.
That was so fun.
Yeah.
Like this, anyways, all the time. We should talk more for the people.
Yeah, we should. We will, 100%. But yeah, that was our episode on Synastry, and I will add all the links to Brittany's website and mine. And yeah, this was Patterned Real Life Real Astrology with Julia Topaz and Brittany Teller. Bye, everyone.
Bye.